What's up, guys? Welcome back to Storytime with Uncle John, where I get to tell stories from around the web and Reddit and all that stuff, and hopefully you guys get to enjoy. Alright, today we're doing stories from the subreddit of Malicious Compliance, so let's get into it. New power-tripping boss. This happened several years ago. At the time, I was working for a certain government organization that shall not be named. I worked office hours, which meant that our work hours were set. Our workday would start at 7:30 in the morning and then continue until 1600 in the afternoon. In between, we were allowed a 15-minute tea break from 1000 to 10:15, lunch from 12:30 to 1300, and then a coffee break from 1500 to 15:15. Besides lunch, none of us ever worried about the tea and coffee breaks. We would get up from our desks and make ourselves a cup of tea or coffee and then drink that in between work. During lunch, our offices will be closed to the public, which was the norm. But some offices who did critical work would have at least one person there during lunch for emergencies. Those offices would remain open, and the members would take lunch at different times to accommodate the public. Although we were supposed to stay until 1600, none of us ever did. Most of us would go and sign off from around 1545 and then go home. We figured that no one would mind since we never took our tea and coffee breaks. Then we got a new boss. For the first few weeks, nothing happened, and then we were ordered to stay until 1600. No more going home 15 minutes early. At first, we tried to fight it, stating that we never took our breaks as we should, but that was shot down very fast. So we decided that we were going to follow the rules, no matter what. At 1000, all offices would close for tea break, no exceptions. The same would happen at lunch, and again at 1500 for coffee break. At exactly 1600, we would all close our offices and leave for home. Anyone of the public still there? Sorry, come back tomorrow. Anyone of the public there during our breaks? Sorry, we can only help after our break. Needless to say, everything that was running like a well-lubricated clock very soon started to fall apart. People started to complain. And if there's one thing in the government that's not tolerated, it's complaints from the public. Sabotage? No. We're only following the rules as we should. I'm not sure who got ripped a new one from upper management, but things very quickly returned to normal after a week of utter chaos, and our new boss never dared to power trip again after that. So I'm not sure how the boss really approached it. I know sometimes when we tell stories, we tend to embellish. I've done it too. It seems much worse or much more one-sided in our heads. But assuming what OP said was correct, then I would say maybe the boss could have handled it better by saying, listen, I need everybody to take their breaks. Take your tea breaks, take your lunch break, take your afternoon tea or coffee break. But I need everybody to kind of go back to what we were doing before. And, people were leaving early. If your office hours are till 4 o'clock, somebody needs to be there till 4 o'clock. If you're a government entity and open to the public or to assist the public, you really do need to be there till 4 o'clock. I can understand that. At the same time, if it screws things up by following the rules, so be it. They'll have to figure that out. But I also can agree that there needs to be some flexibility when it comes to breaks and stuff like that. But yeah, you got to follow the rules. I understand that, you guys work through tea and coffee breaks and stuff like that, but I don't know. I'm a little torn on that one. I'm not so sure the new boss was power tripping necessarily. He's just a by the book kind of guy, and there's really nothing wrong with that either. But there could have been a meeting and a conversation about it. I don't know. Anyway, it sounds like you guys tried to talk to him and he wouldn't listen, so there is that. Working hours. I guess I have a short story from the opposite angle. I was the manager, and the malicious compliance person was one of the guys on my team. This was 10 plus years ago, and we were working at a software technology startup. It was a small company with only around 10 employees, and I led the software engineering team of around 4 employees. We hired a software engineer, and he seemed good, but there were a few red flags. We would go out to lunch, and he would always order at least a few beers. We didn't have any explicit rules against drinking alcohol during lunch, so I just let it slide since it didn't seem to affect his work in the afternoon. And then the guy started disappearing early in the afternoon. Hours were somewhat flexible, but most people would get into the office at around 9 a.m. or so and leave at around 5 p.m. or so. For a standard 40-hour work week, taking time off for lunch, it seemed relatively normal for most people, and we had never had a problem with work hours in the past. But this guy would usually disappear at around 3 or 4 in the afternoon and was coming in around 9 or 10. I'm actually not really a stickler when it comes to enforcement of work hours, and I believe that as long as you get your work done, you should be okay. But as a startup, there was always stuff to do, and there was always a backlog of things to develop, etc. As a small team, we didn't have much redundancy, so guys would have questions for each other throughout the day. It really did stand out as well because since there were only 10 people in the company, the office space was pretty small. His absence was noticed by the CEO and other employees. I asked him about his frequent early departures, and he just said that he had personal things to take care of sometimes, like doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, DMV to do something, etc. Just random errands. I told him that it's all good, and while we aren't tracking time by the minute or anything like that, we generally expect people to work roughly 40 hours a week, and hopefully that's not too unreasonable. I suggested that maybe if he has an appointment and needs to leave, say, 1 hour early, he can also choose to come in an hour earlier on that day, or he can choose to work a little later, like an extra hour, on another day to roughly make it up. He made some comments about how he's never worked at a company so strict before when it comes to work hours, and that all of the other places where he worked never had an issue. And sure enough, the next day when I came into the office, I was told that when the office manager came to unlock and open the office, he said that the guy had been waiting at the front door since 4 a.m., sitting there in the staircase because he was told that he needs to come in early if he's going to leave early, and since he was planning to leave at lunch, he came in 5 hours early. He gave notice shortly after that saying how unreasonable and strict we are, and he was gone a few weeks later. Maybe I was in the wrong here, but still seemed a bit odd at the time. For what it's worth, the whole come in a little early if you need to leave early thing seems to work even in my current companies. Okay, it sounds like that employee was a total alcoholic and, I guess a user of sorts. User of time, user of policies, whatever. He likes to take advantage and manipulate. And I doubt very much that he was there at 4 a.m. waiting to get into the office to work 5 hours early. And if he was coming in early, why didn't he let anybody know? He could have called somebody or said something the day before. It just sounds like he just can't manage his drinking problems and is putting it all on you guys. While I agree that there needs to be flexibility from both sides of the equation when it comes to the employee-employer relationship, like I said before, rules are rules, and, if you're hired for a 40-hour work week, you got to work 40 hours. I mean, if they'll settle for 39, that's great. If it goes over, then you got to renegotiate, but, try to at least get it close. This guy wasn't even trying. I mean, he was just taking full advantage and milking it for all it was worth, so, well, I don't think it was any great loss. New neighbor didn't like my old fence, so I took it down. About 5 or 6 years ago, I built a fence in my backyard. I talked to my neighbors and we decided on a good place to build the fence. We knew an approximate property line based on some survey pins, but we were both too cheap to pay for a surveyor. We shook hands and I built the fence. It was a great deal for my neighbors. I paid for everything, built the fence, and all they had to do was give me a thumbs up when it was done. Then a year later, they sold their house. That meant I got a new neighbor. More specifically, I got Ann. Ann was from the big city. Ann was a realtor. Ann had flipped 8 houses in 12 years. Ann loved this new house and planned on staying for a long time, and Ann had a dog. Razzie was a German Shepherd mix that spent most of the day outside while Ann went to work. Razzie was aggressive towards children, animals, insects, and any plants that waved in the breeze. Razzie also, as Ann once told me, loved to chew on furniture. That's why Razzie stayed outside so much. About 6 months after Ann moved in, I saw a surveyor walking around in my neighborhood, and he was paying special attention to my backyard. The next day, Ann showed up at my front door with a stack of papers and asked me if I was going to pay her for the 9 inches that my fence was encroaching into her property. I explained the handshake deal with the last neighbors, but she was having no part of it. She wanted the fence moved or she wanted money. No discussions. She had spoken to her lawyer friend and was perfectly happy to take me to court over the fence. She told me, "I don't know how you guys do it out here in the sticks, but where I come from, we follow the rules." So I got rid of the fence. The next day I unscrewed the horizontal rails from the brackets, stacked the fence panels up against my garage, and pulled up the fence posts with my work van. About a week later, Ann shows up at my front door again. She wants to know when I'm going to be building the new fence. Turns out without any portion of the fence, she has not been able to let Razzie out unattended for fear that she will run away, attack something, or get hit by a car. She also told me she can't keep him in the house all day while she's at work anymore. Her furniture and carpet are all but ruined. I told her, "Well, Ann, I'm not going to be rebuilding the fence. I don't want any legal trouble, and the best way to stay out of trouble is to not build near your property." The look on her face was priceless. I thought she was going to cry. She probably did when she got back home. She tried to protest, saying that she really needed the fence back and she would even help pay for the new one. She told me how much she loved the style and aesthetic of the old one. It was just the location she had a problem with. I stood firm. There would be no new fence. She never got a fence. She made half-hearted attempts to put up some bamboo fencing, but Razzie tore through that stuff like wet newspaper. Eventually, I sold my place and moved away. I took the old fence panels with me, and I still look at them every day when I let my dog out in the morning. Okay, first things first. I understand property lines are property lines, and setbacks are setbacks, and city rules and county rules and all that. But, when neighbors make a handshake deal, sometimes things aren't perfect. I can understand her wanting the fence moved, and making that request wasn't a big deal, but 9 inches, really, come on. I mean, she could have just said, hey, do you know your fence is 9 inches over the property line? They could have had a conversation about it, but she thought she was going to get something out of this deal, and it ended up backfiring in her face. So good for you, man. I mean, I get it. I hate people that are sue happy, litigant happy, however you want to phrase it. But if you have a dog that's that untrained and that unwieldy, then you need to put up a fence in your yard. He's moved the fence for you. You've got all the room. You can set up your fence where it's supposed to be according to the city and county rules. And go for it, man. That's not his problem that your dog is uncontrollable and ruins your house and attacks, plants and small children. So it is what it is. I'd do the same thing, honestly, except I need a fence to keep my dogs and children in check here. So I would still end up putting the fence back. That's Dime sitting outside the door howling. Hold on. He and his brother don't like being locked out of the bedroom. This is their little domain. Yes, I know. We all heard you. Trust me. Don't step on the keyboard. Thank you. Anyway, it's your responsibility. Like, my dogs aren't totally trained. I'm lazy. We're all lazy. But we find other ways to work around it. We walk them on leashes, which is also a town rule, besides the fact that I'm pretty sure I couldn't be trusted with them, and they can't be trusted to not be on a leash. I put up fences. I do things like this to help protect my one dog who's a runner. If she gets off leash, we have a tracker on her. She's a friendly dog. She doesn't attack anybody or anything, not even other dogs, not cats, nothing. But she looks like she comes running at you so fast because she wants attention. You can't help but be leery at the very least. So I try to take precautions against that so that, she doesn't get hurt, they don't get hurt, and whatever. But we try to first stop her from running away to begin with.
What are you doing, boy?
Now the cats are complaining because they're stuck in the room. Oh, God. Taking the exact amount of pictures requested. During the holidays, I work as an assistant manager at what is essentially a retail photo op booth. Pictures with a mall Santa. The company normally wants us to only take a maximum of 3 pictures per group. The problem with this for us is that the pictures are purchased in expensive packages ranging from $40 to $50 for 3 different options, with each add-on picture being $10, meaning that getting the smallest package and a single add-on would cost the same as the largest package but with less items. The most expensive package includes several printouts, big and small, of 2 poses separated evenly between them, and a digital file that has access to each click of the camera. The middle package only gave you the small printouts and the digital file, and the cheapest package only gave you the small photos. When we aren't busy, we like to take our time with each family to make sure we get the most out of the pictures and give them a good experience. The system lets us take up to 15 pictures before some pics have a chance of being accidentally deleted off the system, so we try to get as close as we can. So if you got a package with a digital file, you would have a lot of extra pictures that were printed out. One morning, me and another assistant manager were the only ones on set for the first hour. Let's call her Jessie. I love her. We all did. She was a super nice woman who sometimes gave too much good treatment to nice customers, even going as far as to outright break the rules. She was also very petty to rude customers. We were on maybe our 5th customer of the slow morning. It's early in the season and no one comes in early December to get their Santa photos, when one lady, let's call her Karen, with her 5 kids, starts getting really impatient. She wasn't in line for more than maybe 10 minutes, and when we get busy, most people would be in line for anywhere from 30 to several hours. Jessie goes over to talk to her while I'm taking pictures of the family I have with me, but I was listening to their conversation. I'm paraphrasing, but it goes something like this. Jessie says, "Hi man, can I help you? What seems to be the problem?" Karen says, "Do you have to take so much time with all of them?" Jessie says, "Well, we're trying to give every child their time with Santa Claus. The experience is the best part." Karen, now interrupting, "We've been waiting here for over an hour. Just take one damn picture and send them away." Jessie says, "Ma'am." Karen interrupts again. "I don't care. Hurry this shit up. Just 1 picture per family. That's how it should be." I could hear Jessie's eye twitch as I finished up with the current family. Jessie says, "You're right, ma'am. We should be doing 1 photo per family." Right on cue, I waved at her to tell her I was ready for the next family. She asked me to finish ringing up the previous family while she took care of Karen. Per Karen's request, Jessie situated everyone perfectly and set up the camera. She took a single click of the camera, didn't even check if it was a good picture, and told Karen they were all done. She ushered them to the cash register and made sure she didn't let any of the kids stay behind to talk to Santa Claus. Oh my God. The kids thankfully didn't seem to mind too much, as I would have felt bad for punishing the kids for their parents' behavior. The kicker is that with that one picture, Karen begrudgingly still bought the most expensive package, which includes the digital file that normally would have had access to every photo, but now only has the one lone picture. Yeah, I get what you were doing there, Jesse, whatever. But I would have felt bad too. I would have done at least, 2 or 3 just to make sure that there's, a couple options there. Yeah, I don't know. I can see wanting to be petty with that customer. I probably would be too, but the thing with me is I would have felt bad for the kids not having enough time with Santa. So, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down below. How would you guys have handled it? Don't want 6 bags of trash? Fine. Not a super long or interesting story, but it's malicious compliance on my mom's part. My mom called it petty and giggled about it to me. I live in an HOA, and every Wednesday morning we have trash men come and pick up our trash. They're fine for the most part, other than being messy occasionally. My mom often forgets to put out the trash and our bags end up piling up. This week, before Wednesday, I decided to clean out my room and closet, which has been a mess since December. I'm rarely home, so I rarely have time to clean. I ended up putting around 6 bags of trash downstairs. On Wednesday, my mom put out 6 trash bags because we had a good 12 to 15 trash bags in the basement. She comes later to 2 of the trash bags left with a big notice of violation paper stapled to one of them. Cue my mom's malicious compliance. My mom got the huge black garbage bags, which are not larger than the small white ones used, and put at least 4 of the white garbage bags in each. She also put all of our cat litter bags, we have a litter robot so it's bags of waste, and all of the bags for some weight. She put as many white trash bags in the black ones because there was no size or weight limit to the trash. In the end, all of our trash fit in 4 trash bags. My mom laughed and told me this yesterday and said they sure picked up those trash bags. Screw HOA. Edit. The violation was they will only take 4 trash bags and we had out 6. We weren't really aware of this. Well, neither side is really wrong here. I could buy the, 50-gallon contractor black trash bags and stuff pretty much a week's worth of trash from even our household into one of those, maybe 2. And, yeah, good luck lifting those because they get stout. Don't come in late during rehab. I read your stories, so I offer one in trade. This was when I worked in a manufacturing facility, the chemical lab. I damaged 2 ligaments in my left knee skiing, ACL, MCL, had surgery, was on crutches. Morning rehab, afternoon rehab, home rehab. All my free time and then some was rehab. But our company ran 24/7, 365, so time off was rare. We were a tight crew, worked hard, and each had each other's back. Our company had just been acquired by an international oil/chemical conglomerate, bringing better benefits to us salary workers. Also, we got new middle managers. I came to work on crutches directly from the rehab from its first appointment of the day. I left in time to catch the last rehab appointment of the day. That meant I still put in 5 or so hours each workday. About 2 weeks in, I'm called in to see the new boss. I'm told it looks bad that I come in late and leave on off hours, not during shift changes. I pointed out we have full paid sick leave now, so I'll just stop coming in at all until I'm fully recovered. I had 8 months off, fully paid. Then I tacked on vacation days because I'd been earning PTO every pay cycle I was off. Ouch. If somebody's following company policy and they have to have these doctor's appointments and rehab appointments, you kind of got to leave them alone, especially if they're doing decent production. Middle manglers, you got to love them, man. They were invented to screw up everything. And that's exactly what they do perfectly. All right, guys, thanks for joining in today. Hope you enjoyed all these stories. And if you did enjoy them, do me a favor. Click like, share, subscribe, all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. And until the next one, we'll see you.